We're going to pick up reading at the third indent on page 50. It starts with when. For this section, really be thinking about how you're going to stop, think, paraphrase all the way to the end of the chapter by making sure you're thinking about what you're listening to or reading, saying or writing it in your own words, and keeping it short. And make sure you're self-monitoring as you listen to this, or preferably read along with me, by asking yourself, am I understanding this? Are there any words I can't figure out? Can I tell what's happening in my own words? And what's the most important part? So, top of page 50. When we finally got into the building, it was worth the wait. The first thing you noticed when you got inside was how big the place was, and how many people were in it, and how quiet it was. The only sound you could hear was when someone scraped a spoon across the bottom of their bowl, or pulled a chair in, or put one back, or when people in front of you dragged their feet on the floor, moving up to where they were spooning out the food. After we'd picked up our spoons and bowls, a lady dug a big mess of oatmeal out of a giant pot and swapped it down into our bowls. She smiled and said, "I hope you enjoy." Me and my pretend family all said, "Thank you, ma'am." Then a man put 2 pieces of bread and an apple and a big glass of milk on your tray and said, "Please read the signs to your children. Thank you." We all said, "Thank you, sir." Then we walked past some signs someone stuck up on the wall. One said, "Please do not smoke." Another said, "Please eat as quickly and quietly as possible." Another one said, "Please be considerate and patient. Clean up after yourself. Your neighbors will be eating after you." And the last one said, "We are terribly sorry, but we have no work available." My pretend daddy read the signs to my pretend brother and sister, and we all sat at a long table with strangers on both sides of us. The oatmeal was delicious. I poured some of my milk into it so it wouldn't be so lumpy and mixed it all together. My pretend mother opened her pocketbook. That's an old-fashioned word for purse. My pretend mother opened her pocketbook and took out a little brown envelope. She reached inside of it and sprinkled something on my pretend brother's and sister's oatmeal, then said to them, "I know that's not as much as you normally get, but I wanted to ask you if you minded sharing some with Clarence." They pouted and gave me a couple of dirty looks. My pretend mother said, "Good," and emptied the rest of the envelope over my oatmeal. Brown sugar! Shucks, I didn't even mind them calling me Clarence anymore. I said, "Thank you, ma'am." She and my pretend daddy laughed, and he said, "It took you long enough to catch on, Clarence." He acted like he was going to smack me again, but he didn't. After we'd finished all our food, we put our bowls up, and I thanked my pretend family again. I asked them, "Are you going to be coming back for supper?" My pretend mama said, "No, dear, we only come here mornings, but you make sure you get here plenty early. You hear?" I said, "Yes, ma'am." I watched them walking away. My pretend brother looked back at me and stuck out his tongue, then reached up and took my pretend mother's hand. I couldn't really blame him. I don't think I'd be real happy about sharing my brown sugar and my folks with any strange kids either. So now go back and make sure that you've stopped, thought, and paraphrased. Put what you just heard or read along with me into a really short format to make sure you can say the most important part in your own words.